Okay, so we're going to start off this new unit on angles and triangles. So very first unit we're going to look at is going to be over parallel lines and transversals. So we're going to just review what it takes to be parallel lines really quick, and then we'll introduce what a transversal is here in just a moment. So first of all, let's think about what it takes for two lines to be parallel. So you would have learned this way back in elementary school, but for two lines to be parallel, remember they're two lines that never cross each other. So let's add that little note in. They never intersect. So you can do your best to sketch parallel lines, but just as long as they never cross each other, that would be parallel. So we're going to be looking at parallel lines a lot in this unit, and especially focusing on the angles that are formed whenever you have a line that cuts through those parallel lines. So let's jump into looking at a diagram. So in all the diagrams we're going to be working with, you're going to have what's called a transversal. So a transversal is basically just a line that cuts through a set of parallel lines. So I'm going to draw a diagram on here, and I'm going to show you exactly what a transversal would be. So first of all, let me start with two parallel lines. So my blue lines are parallel, and then I'm going to draw a line just cutting through both of them. Okay, so this black line I'm going to label as T. That is called your transversal, is because it is cutting through the parallel lines. Now, when I have a diagram like this, one thing I want you to know or notice is all of the angles that are created from these lines. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to number all of the angles that are created. So I have an angle there, 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 and there. So I just numbered them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I have the exact same thing down on the bottom, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I have created 8 angles just on this one diagram. Now we're going to look at different kinds of angles and then how you figure out the measure of each one of those angles. So there's two types of angles we're going to focus on today. First angles are called supplementary angles, and these are angles that make a straight line. And I'll show you in a diagram in a little bit what that looks like. But the key thing you need to know with this is that they have to add up to 180 degrees. So, for instance, if I have my diagram again, I'll make it a little bit smaller this time. And I want you to look at angles 1 and 2. Do you see how together they make this straight line that I'm highlighting in red? So that means that those two are supplementary angles and they have to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so if I told you, if angle 1 is equal to 110 degrees, and you had to figure out what angle 2 was, well, together they make a straight line. They have to add up to 180, so angle 2 has to equal 70 degrees. Okay? And I could do the same thing if I put in an angle 3 right here. 1 and 3 also make a straight line. You see right there that I'm highlighting in blue. So angle 3 would also be 70. So it kind of works like this all the way around the diagram. Now the second one I want to look at are called vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles that are right across from each other. And the thing you need to know with vertical angles is they are going to be congruent. They're going to be equal to each other. So let's draw another diagram here. Now they're going to be across from each other. They're not going to be next to each other. So let me label some numbers in here. Excuse me. So for instance, vertical angles. These would be like angle 1 and angle 4 would be vertical because they are right across from each other. Angle 2 and angle 3 would be vertical angles because they are right across from each other. Okay, and these are always... So if I told you, let's say angle 1 was 100 degrees. And then I wanted to know the measure of angle 4. Well, 1 and 4 are right across from each other. They have to be congruent. So that means angle 4 would also be 100 degrees. Okay, so using these two definitions and these two types of angles, if I give you a diagram like this and I give you only one angle, you would be able to figure out the other 7 angles. So let's look at another example and we will do just that. All right, so let's draw a diagram here. And I'm going to number all of them 1 through 8. And I'm going to tell you that the measure of angle 1, so anytime you see that M out in front, it just means the measure of. Measure of angle 1 is 93 degrees. And we need to figure out all of the other 7 angles. Okay, so angle 1 is right here. So I know this angle is 93 degrees. Okay, well, if I go through using what I just went over, I know right off the bat the angle right across from it is going to be the same. So angle 4 is also going to be 93 degrees. Now, how would I figure out what angles 2 and 3 are? Remember, angle 1 and angle 2 make a straight line. Well, angle 1 and angle 3 also make a straight line. So those have to add up to 180 degrees. So I need to figure out what's 180 minus 93. You get 87. So those other angles are going to be 87 degrees. So I know what angles 1 through 4 are. Now that leaves me to figure out what angles 5, 6, 7, and 8 are. So what I want you to notice, okay, it is essentially the exact same picture as angles 1 through 4. So I could take angles 1 through 4 and just slide them straight down here, sliding it straight down, and you'll see what matches up with what. Okay, so I see that, maybe a little hard to see with the writing, I'll kind of offset it a little bit, but angles 1 and 5 are going to be the exact same. So angle 5 is going to be the same as 1, it's 93 degrees. Okay, and angles 2 and 6 are the same. So since 2 is 87, 6 will be 87. And angles 3 and 7 are in the same spot, so those will be the same. And then 4 and 8 are going to be the same. So Notice how you really only have two answers, 93 degrees and 87 degrees. But by only giving you one angle, you are able to figure out all of the other 7 angles pretty easily. Now, I want to do one more example, but I'm actually going to make the diagram face a different direction, so it may look maybe a little confusing, maybe not, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and draw another diagram, but this time I'm going to have my parallel lines going kind of weird here, like this, okay? And I'm going to number them a little off also, so make sure in your notes that you are numbering yours the exact same way that I number mine. That way we're consistent with our answers. And then over here to the side, I'm going to list all 8 angles, and we're going to figure out what they are. And I'll give you one of them here in just a second. Okay, so let's say I want to give you angle 4. So if angle 4, and let's say angle 4 is 62 degrees, we need to figure out the other 7. All right, so 4 and 6 have to be the same because they are right across from each other. So if 4 is 62, then 6 has to be 62. And then that leaves me 3 and 8 in this little set of angles right here. So I know 3 and 4 together make a straight line, and a straight line is 180 degrees. So all I need to do is take 180 minus 62, and that's going to give me the measure of angles 3 and 8. So you get 118. So that means angle 3 is 118 and angle 8 is 118. And then I just need to figure out the 4 angles over here on the left. So, oops. So if I'm trying to get this to work out right. Okay, I'm going to take this diagram, I basically just copy and pasted this, and I'm going to slide it right over, and you'll see what lines up perfectly with what. So I'm going to offset it just a little bit so we can see. So angles 2 and 3 are going to be the same. So 3 was 118, so that means 2 is 118. And 1 and 4 are going to be the same, so that means angle 1 is 62. Angles 5 and 6 are going to be the same, so that means 5 is 62, and then 7 and 8 have to be the same. So there's my final answer. Found all 7 angles based off of that one angle that I gave you. So what you want to look for in diagrams like this are straight lines and then angles that are right across from each other, supplementary angles and vertical angles.